Welcome, friends. I'm so excited to do this video. It's going to be titled Universal Soul Symbolism. I had not planned on creating a video and making this content, but here it is due to cause and effect. I'll say that. A little bit more than 2 weeks ago, I received this comment on one of my videos, on the pseudo-spiritualism video, and I've blocked out the person's name because I don't know if I just feel better by blocking out their name. Clearly, if you go to that video, you'll be able to see who it is, but disclaimer, please do not go and say anything to this person at all. Just leave them alone. I've already spoke to them. But this is an instance of cause and effect. I'm so excited and I'm so thankful to this person, because without them, this video would cease to exist. And I would not have delved in even deeper and learned a bunch of things that I hadn't connected yet. So I'm very grateful to this person, and it's just an example of when people come and they try to, quote unquote, rebuke you or tell you that you're doing the devil's work, or, oh my goodness, we're not supposed to mess with that stuff. It's evil and demonic. I appreciate the comments that come in, as long as people, don't get nasty. As long as it's just what they feel and that's what they believe, that's okay, because cause and effect, as I said. They said, you quote all these scriptures, but yet you talk about numerology and the zodiac, and the Bible actually tells us not to. Can you shed some light on this? And I said that I quote scripture and ancient religious texts in correlation with the symbology of numerology and astronomy/astrology. And basically, all of this is just symbolism. Everybody has the same story, and all religious and mythos all have the same story, and the story is about us. History is his story, mankind's story. Basically, the soul's journey throughout the current incarnation, as well as your past incarnations, future incarnations, on a micro level and then a macro level. That's what all of this is about. It's the same story, different actors, because there's different parts of the world. So everybody's not going to believe or have the same characters or symbols. So we just have to, we have to research it and learn their symbology, and then we can be wise to what the story is. Now, I did ask this person, as for in reference to the Bible says that we're not supposed to do this. I write in here, who said that? Because I don't find any scripture that says do not go and seek further explanation or interpretation. And on the contrary, it says seek and you will find. And we're also repetitively told that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because thou reject knowledge, I also will reject thee. Isaiah 5:13. But I do understand what this person's saying, because I was completely indoctrinated in church from the age of 5. And as soon as I got into 2nd grade, I was enrolled into a private Christian school. So, who taught Southern Baptist stuff. So I'm well aware about, stay away from the astrology and tarot, and right. The Bible doesn't say that, but that a branch of religion has said that, and many people think that. It's basically just a stumbling block to keep you going to church and filling up the those plates, your money plates, instead of figuring out that the 10% does not mean 10% of the money that you earn. Oh, money, money, money. But I'll digress. Therefore my people go into captivity, into darkness and bondage, slavery, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished for truth, for understanding, for light, for interpretation, for deeper understanding. And their multitude dry up with thirst. Proverbs 1:3, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtly to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear, and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise, as well as the dark or the occult or the hidden sayings. So all of that comes from the Bible, and it says opposite of don't do it. It's urging you to do it. The writers of these texts are urging you to do it. Now, I know it's kind of blurry. After I had written that back to the person, this is where the video starts getting created in my head, and the one that we're watching right now. I wrote back and said, also, an afterthought about the Bible not saying to use numerology, and the book of Revelation, chapter 13, which is also significant in numerology, the number 13. We're told to be wise and use astrology or numerology to become wise. Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and the number is 666. Chapter 13, verse 18. Specific instructions to figure out the meaning via numerology. This is specific instructions to use the numerology. It even starts out and says that you'll be wise to do so. If you look more closely into the numerology of just where that comes from, the chapter 13 is a 4. Verse 18 is a 9. 4 plus 9 again is the 13. This writer is very, very, very much using numerology within this parable and trying to emphasize the beast and the correlation to 666 and this number 13. The number 13 is the amount of lunar months in the solar year. The sun, the moon, and the earth. The lunisolar cycle of our earth is what it's what the story, history is about, and the symbology that everyone uses. It's the as above, so below, as within, so without, to figure things out. So the sun, the moon, and the earth, it represents our soul, S-O-U-L, S-O-L, soul, the spirit from the moon, and the body, or the earth. The soul, or the sun's essence, or spirit, is reflected by the moon, which either gives or takes away. It either gives light or it retracts light, i.e. the spirit, or the essence, from the soul, the sun, onto, as well as into, the earth and the human body. The earth and the human body are considered the same thing. The moon and the spirit, same thing. The soul and the sun, same thing. All of our mythologies and religious texts, they all give that same story. And as I said, it's the story of mankind's soul journey. The journey of our soul throughout this lifetime, throughout the days, throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the years, and then throughout future reincarnations to come. Each religion or each nation that follows a specific religion, they have their own specific symbology, and it's specific to them, to them as a race of people, where they live, the time frame that they lived in. But it's always the same story, always the same story. And we should not see this as a tool of division or saying, oh, well, my religion doesn't match with their religion. If you look very closely and see what their symbology is and figure out what your own is, you'll find that it's not division, it's actually unity. And we should treat it as such. So much death and destruction and evil and tearing down from religion against another religion. It's horrific. And it needs to stop. But it can only stop if each person individually searches their own soul and their own heart and wants to see it. Seek and you shall find. Because if we wish to clearly comprehend the whole story, the holy story, we need to make ourselves familiar with those symbols. Genesis 1:14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and of years. In the last part it says for days and years, that like in a literal sense, the sun and the moon, timekeepers. Well, they're all timekeepers, but days and years, the sun and the moon, okay, the lights up in the firmament. Signs and seasons. How do I want to say this? Okay, well, seasons you could go and say, yeah, the 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter, and the signs of the coming seasons. But actually, on a deeper level, the lights in the firmament are meant for signs for us, signs, symbols for us to use for the coming seasons, not weather, literally weather related, metaphorically in a spiritual season. So this is again, I don't want to keep on saying as above, so below, as within, so without, but that's exactly what all of this is. We shouldn't just read this and say, oh, God made lights up in the sky divide day from night. That means the light from the darkness, the knowing from the not knowing, the receding daylight, the waning, and then the rising daylight, the waxing. It's very multifaceted. So, yes, absolutely. In the very beginning of the book of the Bible, it definitely urges you to look up and use the sun and the moon first and foremost, but then the other planetary cycles to figure things out. It does not say don't do it, it says to do it. And numerology, as I already said, yes, it specifically tells you to do it. Okay, now let's make some symbolic comparisons with this lunisolar cycle. The lunar twins, the lunar solar twins, we have the Egyptian Set, Seti, and his brother Horus. This also symbolizes John the Baptist and Jesus, but we'll get to that in a minute. Right now I'll show you the Egyptian symbology. These represent the moon cycles. It represents the new moon to the full moon cycle and the full moon to the new moon cycle. The full moon to the full moon to the new moon cycle is Seti, and the new moon to the full moon would be Horus. Now you can see in the picture, well, of course, Horus is the bird or the hawk, and Seti is dog, jackal, in between a fox and a dog, a jackal. And you can see their symbology. In Seti, you can see that he has the new moon behind him. Also can be considered an eclipse. And if you look at Horus, you can see that it is a full moon. There's no eclipse. There's no eclipsing. So Seti, set, or the setting, represents the waning lunar cycle, which means that it's decreasing in light. Now, we have Horus over there, and that would be the waxing cycle, or the increasing in light. And light from the soul or from the sun. So this is essence, the sun's essence, that these two figures are symbolizing the manifestation of. And here's a representation with the phases of the moon, with all 4 quarters in there. And you see on the left, the waning or the decreasing would be here from the full moon. It's losing light. It's full at this moment, and it starts to go on its declination. It's going on its descent. It's falling into it. The soul is having its fall, okay? It's falling into nature and emotions and the physical, and it's losing its soul essence, its light from the sun. So from here all the way to here is Seti, the darkness. And after the new moon, all the way to here is the ascent, or the gaining the light. And as you can see, the first, as soon as the blackness goes away, the very next step that happens is this crescent moon, which you also see here with Horus's little headpiece, which symbolizes this right here. In Isaiah 1:14, in numerology, that's a 6. It's the number of man. It says, I detest your new moon festivals and your appointed feast days. They have become a burden to me, and I am weary of bearing them. Why does it say that? Why does it say, I hate the new moon festivals and your appointed feast days? Why does it say that? Because in Leviticus 23:6, it says, and on the 15th day of the same month is when your feast day is. Now, the new moon celebrations happened during the full moon, the complete darkness, no light, no essence at all. It's complete dark moment. And the lunar days go by 28 days. So on the new moon, 14 days later would give you a a full moon, all of the light. But in Leviticus it says on the 15th day, that's when you have your feast. Not when it is full, but when it's starting to lose its light. So hating the feast days, the 15th day is the feast day, which is beginning its declination. So we're having feast days and celebrating on the decline. Yay, we're declining and losing our consciousness, our soul essence. And here we'll have a party right here while we're in total blackness. Not up here where we finally see that, nope, right here. So this is why it says that I hate your new moon festivals and your feast days, because they're all on the decline. Not up here where the light is. Now, during Horus's battle with Set to avenge the murder of his father, Osiris, that would be the full light of the moon, Horus's eye was plucked out and torn apart by Set, by the darkness, by the declination of the light, of the essence. This can represent several different things, but mainly, as I said, the full moon, the complete light over there, the eye that's still okay, and then the new moon, the blacked out, no soul essence coming through. But then, on a grander scale or a larger scale, it also represents the eclipse, or the eclipses, the solar and the lunar eclipse, by being blacked out and no essence coming through. Now, solar and lunar eclipses can only happen at a specific angle or by a specific angel, if you will. And it has to. The only way that we get this blocking out, the plucking out of Horus's eye in this representation, is the lining up of those nodes with the earth and the sun. Always the earth, the moon, and the sun. The body, the soul, and the spirit. Now, the lunar nodes, again, it goes along with the same thing that I was just saying, the decreasing in light, the descending Seti, and then the ascending Horus. The lunar nodes are known as the head and the tail of the great dragon, sometimes the red dragon, and it's the main analytical tool for karmic astrology. Karma, it's all about karma and reincarnation. That is the story. That is the history. So, as I said, Set and Horus, the lunisolar twins, is a representation in Egypt, as we have, of John the Baptist and Jesus. John the Baptist saying that I must decrease so that Jesus may increase. Or if you're doing the Egyptian, it would be I, the eye of Horus, must decrease and be blackened out so that he, Horus, the crescent moon, the new moon, the first light of the new moon, may increase. John the Baptist and Jesus, the soul being submerged into matter, the earth and the water, for what? For remission of sins, reincarnation. You were born into the body, and your water represents your spirit and your emotional state, which you need to be in control of. That's all I'll say. So John the Baptist, Seti, Jesus, Horus. And you also notice that Seti, he has those, it's Anubis. We'll get to that in a second, but it's basically Anubis. But Seti is there holding the scales of justice, just like John the Baptist, when people came to be submerged, he said, what? It's for the remission of sins. You're weighing out the heart and the feather, searching out your heart. And it's also why it said that John, quote, rebuked the Pharisees, Sadducees, I forget which ones, that were hanging out on the bank, because he was like, what are you doing, you brood of vipers? Get away from here. You're just trying to peek in and hear what's going on and get some hidden stuff, but you're all vipers because you're not willing to submerge yourself into the darkness so that you can become new and born again with the light. You have to go through the darkness to get to the light. Okay, so then what happens? Jesus gets plunged down into matter and emotional energies, desires, and he goes off to be tempted in the wild lands, in the wilderness. But we'll get back to him in just a second. We'll finish out with John. Jesus went off to be tempted, and then John is captured and brought in to King Herod. The name Herod in Syriac denotes a red dragon. Wah, wah. Upon lots of searching and trying to get multiple different interpretations of Herod, everybody pretty much comes to the same exact one, and that is Herod comes from the root hero and then ode, song. So Herod, the heroes, or the hero's song, or the hero's ode. I tend to think it means hero also can mean warrior, but the warrior's odor, the warrior's stench. But Antipas or Antipas means strong, hard, and robust. Can't keep them down. Rah. But if we search more in depth for words that sound or are very close to and have been translated from, we find that Herod can mean the wanderer, the fugitive, the trembler, and the coward. From the root word arid, for Herod, to flee or to be free. But arid also means like the dry, hot, fiery atmosphere as well. Also, from the verb, excuse me, from the verb harad, meaning to tremble or be afraid, and Antipas or Antipatros, antipater, father, meaning like his father, the image of his father. The wanderer, fugitive coward, that is the image or the essence of his father. Herod was known as a tetrarch, and a tetrarch means a king, a governor, a ruler of a quarter of a whole of 4 parts. So it's right in line with the 4 quarters of the moon or the lunar cycle. So the fugitive, the trembler, the one who is the image of his father, if we go and look, and the owner of 1 quarter, or the ruler of one quarter, if we go and we look, Herod the Great is the big guy. He's the guy from the Christmas story, okay? Killed all the babies, the babies, the newborn, the light, the essence, the babies that were born. And then we have Herod Archelaus, who is one of Herod the Great's 3 sons that are mentioned in the Bible, and he received 1/2 of his father's whole. So he has 2 quarters. Then we have Herod Antipas, who's the one that we're speaking about, and Jesus called him the fox in Luke 13:32. He received a quarter of his father's territory. So it all lines up. It all lines up. And then the 4th one, or the person who got the other quarter, is Herod Philip, and he got the remaining quarter from north and east of Galilee. Which then brings me to why, again, the video got made, cause and effect, and I'm so grateful for that person that came along. On the bottom of the screen, even though it's fuzzy, is the Pythagorean numerology scale, 1 through 9, and all of the letters. That has been sitting on my desktop for 7 or 8 months. Used it many times for other things and never, ever saw it. It's right there. It's absolutely right there. Jesus called Herod the fox. The letter F is a 6, the letter O is a 6, the letter X is a 6. And it's literally spelled out right there in the cliff. I'm blown away that I didn't see it again. But again, everything happens for a reason, and I'm so very grateful because this is how all of this started out. So the little fox, 666, Herod, wow, he's one of the dog guys. He's one of those dog jackal-faced guys. He represents a quarter of it. Now, let's go on to John the Baptist. Matthew 14:8, again, a 13, denoting this is definitely a lunar cycle that we are speaking about. And she, being before instructed by her mother, said, "Give me here John the Baptist's head inside a charger." And that's the King James. And in the other, the newer ones, you'll read in a platter or on a serving plate or something like that. Somehow it got switched to John's head on a silver platter, but I contend that the platter is not silver. It is John who is silver. If we go and we look up the definitions of what a charger is, the 3 main ones, everyone fits. A charger, a horse that has been trained for battle, or a cavalry horse. And if we look at the sun card in the tarot, we have the little baby riding on the horse. It's the sun card. A charger. The sun charges things. More appropriately, the charger that we're looking for, charger, a large bottom dish or platter for serving, and usually you serve it during banquets, festivals, and feasts. And usually with a smaller dish setting inside or on top. Give me John the Baptist's head in a charger. And the one that everybody thinks of when you think of charger, which is probably the most appropriate, a device for charging an electrical instrument. So we have the sun as the golden charger, with John the Baptist's head, the silver dish, setting inside of it. There's a painting in the Museum Regional de Barra in Portugal of John the Baptist's head on this charger, and painted behind it is the sun, John the Baptist, the moon, with the sun behind it. You can't see it in this picture, but all around in a circle are, yep, you guessed it, the zodiac signs. And here's a painting from a Catholic church, a basilica, a very special Catholic church in Italy. Again, the zodiacal circles with, you see Peter and all of the apostles, the A post, standing their post, the post people, all circling around. What's in the middle? John the Baptist and Jesus, the sun and the moon. Now we'll bounce back into Egyptian mythology. I don't want to say mythology, it's not a myth, it's true. It was like the Christian people, I suppose, are the ones who that named it a mythology. So the Egyptians, in their Zodiac of Dandera, there's a figure called Enip, or Anubis, Seti, and he is portrayed with his head cut off. So, again, different symbology, but same story. You can't, this picture that you see doesn't have it in there. That is the Zodiac of Dandera, or one representation of it, but I cannot find the one that Gerald Massey spoke about in his book, Lunology. My picture got cut off here. You can't really see it. But when you go and you research that, the Zodiac of Dandera, like I said, and you look up that name, Anapi, or Anapi, I forgot how to pronounce it. It says that it's a headless, stuffed skin, usually of a great feline, tied, it's cut off. It says a bunch of them tied together with their tails tied together to a pole, which was planted into a pot. And this child was known as a Heset cow, or the cow that produced Nevis from the goddess Heset. It's Anubis, the headless, stuffed skin of the great feline, the cat, or the solar energy captured by the moon. So Anubis is associated with the eye of Horus, who acted as a guide to the dead, no light, no essence, and helped them to find Osiris, the full light, the fully illuminated moon. In other myths, Anubis and Upuat led the deceased from the halls of Ma'at, where they would be judged, and watched over the whole process and ensured that the weighing of the heart was conducted correctly. He then led the innocent on to a heavenly existence, with the dove hovering above the head, and abandoned the guilty to a mentee. Again, it's John the Baptist saying, why are you here, you serpents and you vipers, go away, but did baptize Jesus, and then the whole Holy Spirit hovered above him with peace, the sign of the dove. So John the Baptist. And also, if you look at the picture, Anubis or Sete, again, the moon, or a personification of a cycle of the moon. Look at his hand. He's reflecting sunlight. So all about the angles, or the angels. We can also look at this and say that John, the sign of Cancer, was beheaded, and Jesus, the sun, the soul, is now descending from the highest point in the zodiac, Cancer, and is sent to be tempted by Satan. So the dog days of summer last for 20 days before and 20 days after the alignment of Sirius, the dog star, with the sun on the summer equinox. It's right there when, right there, Cancer, it's right there with John. The sun, or the soul, is descending from Cancer, the highest point, into Leo, and will be tempted for 40 days by the dog-faced one. One of the dog-faced ones. One of those canines. Sirius, the canine. A dog always returns to its vomit. The higher ego versus the lower ego. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God, and I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount end of the assembly of the far reaches of the north. Yup, pretty much north as you can get, except for the highest point in Cancer. I will ascend above the height of the clouds, and I will make myself like the Most High, up there with the sun at the same time for those 40 days. This represents, again, our higher ego, our soul, versus the lower soul, or the lower ego, battling our inner desires of fame, glory, status, prestige, possessions, all of that. Now, in reference to the red dragon, also want to say that whenever you hear red dragon, it's a cycle. The dragon is always eating its own tail, or, the snake is always eating its own tail. It's a cycle. It's the beginning, the alpha and the omega, a cycle. Revelation 12:3-4. Then a sign appeared in the heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and on his heads were 7 diadems, crowns, or royalty, rulership. This also is a depiction of the 666, the red dragon, a cycle, and the descent from the north into the south, or from the light into the darkness. On the screen, again, kind of fuzzy because I've overlaid it, but that's the constellation of Draco the dragon, and there's 7 stars there representing the 7 heads of that dragon, and it's covering 7 of those zodiacal houses. And that's a Chinese dragon. I just did my best to have it positioned the way that it is in the sky and in the zodiac. Revelation 12:4. He, the beast, the dragon, he stood in front of the woman in order to eat or devour her child as soon as it was born. Revelation 12:4, the 7 for the 7 heads, or the 7 houses, as I said, and the 7 rulers, and the 7 rulers wearing the 7 crowns. The dragon waits right there up in the sky zodiacally, with its mouth poised right over top the house of Aries, which is the spring equinox, and that's where the newborn sun for the new year comes out. So that correlates with the dragon waiting to eat the child. It's the newborn sun of the spring equinox. Now also, in reference to the fox, it's like one personification. All of the dogs, they're all like same energy, same cycle source, just like different intensities and angles or angels. The constellation Vulpecula is that little fox with the little goose. It's a very dim, not too bright, probably why it needs to eat the head of John. Vulpecula is a very dim, not bright constellation in the northern sky in the vicinity, again, of Cancer Leo. It's Latin for the little fox, and it's illustrated with the head of the little goose in the jaws of the fox. Therefore, the fox is beheading the goose, or Herod is beheading John. So in the northern sky, there's a triangle. What's very interesting is I look at this triangle pretty much every day. It's right out my back door. It's positioned perfectly. I sit for some reason, I don't know how, but that's where I live. I go outside and look, and I see the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, the whole northern, the pole star, all of that's right. That's my view when I look outside. And side note, a couple of years ago, I was having all of these like dreams and visions and things, and I kept seeing animals and different things, but they were floating in the sky. And one of them was a kite. It was this triangle. Now that I look outside, for the past few months now, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's it. It was the triangle, because there's stars that come off the bottom of it, and it kind of looks like a kite tail. So, yeah. So that's done with my little story. But in this area, the summer triangle, that little fox, Herod, he sits right. It's not positioned well on the screen. I tried to overlay things. But the little fox and that little goose, he lays inside of that northern triangle, like do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, like the Bermuda Triangle, or the Trinity. So that's pretty interesting, and it's a fox. Now, the fox is only visible in the summer, in that, that's why it's called the summer triangle. But in the winter time, if I were to look out there, I'm going to see the dog. I'm going to see Sirius. So still in the dog family, dog, jackal, fox, Anubis, Sete. They're all there in that same exact area, all different personifications of the same bestial influence. So we have successfully shown that both of these stories or histories are the same. They just have different characters playing them for the different people in the different times. Seti, Anubis, John, the decreasing luni-solar light. Bonus! I don't even know how to start with this. I am so excited, didn't know it, don't even know why I thought about doing it, but then when I did do it, and then I read it, and I was like, what? So exciting. Oh, so exciting. Okay, so that dragon, as I said, Draco, he hovers over 7 7 of those the zodiacal areas, and with his mouth pursed over Aries. And if you put the first letter of those months that those signs are associated with, we get April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Now, I'm pretty sure that everybody already sees Jason, right? Or Yah's son. Blew me away. Blew me away. I'd have never, ever seen this or figured this out without that person coming along. It's just so incredible. AM, no J's. No J's. Has to be an I. Has to be an I. AMI, IASON, or you could use Y's, but it's an I. And if you go and you research what AMI, AMI, means, it's a representation of Ammon, like Ammon Ra, or the hidden one. AMI means the hidden one. So excited, so excited. And then IASON is Jason, or Yason. And Jason is a Hellenized version of Jesus. So I've spelled out the hidden one, Jesus. I just can't. No, it's just so great. It feels so good. Whew. Better than drugs. And I've done many, many drugs in my life. Yes, I have. Woo! Much better than drugs. Oh my goodness. So, And if you go and you look up the name AMI, AMI, the Bible lists it, I think, only once, but it's in there. It's in there. And if you look up Jason in the Bible, I didn't even know it. Didn't even know it. And the name Jason is in the New Testament, only in the book of Acts, but it lists them 5 times. 5 times. Acts 17, 5 through 8. The Jews, however, became jealous, so they brought in some troublemakers from the marketplace. They formed a mob, and they sent the city into an uproar. They raided Jason's house, or it would be written IASON, Jesus' house, in search of Paul and Silas, hoping to bring them out to the people. But when they could not find them, they dragged Jason and some other brothers before the city officials, shouting, "These men who have turned the world upside down have come here, and Jason has welcomed them into his home." Leo, the son, the house of Leo. Jason has welcomed them into his home, into his house. They are all defying Caesar's decree, and they are saying that there is another king, and his name is Jesus. Hearing this, the crowd and the city officials were greatly disturbed, and they collected bond from Jason and the others, and then they released them. So, how about that? Didn't know it, but now I know it, and because of a cause and effect, I love it. Amiyasan. The hidden one, Jesus. It's not a man. It's not the Jesus that walked around on the earth. It's the hidden one that's within all of us. Our souls, our higher selves, our higher ego. So that's it, you guys. I was going to say mad love, but that's not good, so I stopped myself. Much, much love, healing, peace. Remember to love each other. Love yourselves and love each other unconditionally. Please share this video with people and help the YouTube algorithms. I'm just like so stunned. I figured out this, the hidden one, Jesus, at the very end. I was getting ready to record, and then there it was. So that's it, you guys. I love you all. Please leave comments in the comment section below and let me know if you have any more correlations to what I've put up here. That's it. All right. Peace.